James lived alone in a small apartment on the edge of the city. His life was quiet. Boring, even. He worked from home as a computer technician. He had no girlfriend, no real friends, and barely spoke to his neighbors. Today was his birthday. He had just turned 30, but there was no party, no cake, no one called him. No one even remembered. He sighed, looked at the empty calendar on his phone, and opened the fridge. Leftover noodles, half a soda bottle. That was going to be his birthday dinner as he sat back on his worn-out couch. There was a soft knock at the door. Delivery. He mumbled, confused. He wasn't expecting anything. James opened the door and stopped. There was a box sitting right outside. It was tall, metallic, and glowing faintly with a soft blue light. No delivery person in sight, no name. No address, just the box. Cautiously, he touched the surface. It felt warm. Alive? What the hell is this? He looked around. Empty hallway. No cameras, no clues. Curiosity won. He dragged the strange box inside, placed it in the middle of the room, and stared at it for a full minute. Suddenly, with a quiet hiss, the box began to open. Steam escaped from the sides, lights blinked, and slowly the front panel slid down, revealing something or someone inside. James stepped back in shock. A girl, a young woman, beautiful. Her skin was a deep, glowing blue. Her eyes were golden, large, and full of wonder. Her hair was long and silver, braided with small crystals. She wore strange, shining clothes that looked like royal armor mixed with jewelry. She stepped forward, barefoot, graceful like a dancer. James stared, mouth open. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. "Happy birthday, James." He blinked. What? How do you know my name?" "I was sent here for you. I am your gift." My ... What? She tilted her head. "Your birthday present. I was chosen and prepared to live with you, to learn from you." James was frozen. Was this a prank? A dream? Some expensive robot? She wasn't acting like a machine. She looked ... alive. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am Alira. I come from the planet Varelia. My creators selected you from a list of billions. They said ... You were different." James laughed nervously. "Okay, very funny. Who set this up? Where are the hidden cameras?" "There are no cameras. This is real." He stared into her glowing eyes. Somehow, deep down, he believed her. But why me? She looked at him for a moment. Then she reached out and gently touched his chest. "Because your heart is lonely, and your soul is kind." James felt goosebumps rise across his arms. This had to be a joke, but it didn't feel like one. He stepped back, trying to stay calm. "All right, if you're real, then what do you want from me?" "I want nothing. I am here to be with you, to learn, to help, and to stay if you let me." Her voice was pure. No fear, no tricks. Just honesty. James sat down on the couch, still trying to understand what was happening. "This is insane," he muttered. "People don't just get beautiful alien girls delivered to their door." Alira smiled slightly. "On your planet, no. But in my world, ... gifts are chosen with meaning." He looked at her again. She wasn't just pretty. She was ... peaceful. Like someone from a dream. Outside, the city kept moving. But inside James's apartment, time had stopped. Then Alira walked to the window and looked outside. "So many lights," she whispered. "So much noise." "Yeah, welcome to Earth," James said, still stunned. She turned to him again. "Your world smells like sadness. I'm here to fix it." That's when James felt something strange. His loneliness, the cold emptiness that had followed him for years, had cracked. just a little, and he didn't even know her. But something told him this wasn't just a birthday present. It was the beginning of something far bigger, something he wasn't ready for, something they might not survive. James didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, glancing again and again at the living room, where the beautiful alien girl sat silently, watching the stars through the window. Illyra didn't move much. She didn't ask for food or water. She didn't even seem tired. She just stared at the night sky, like she missed home. James finally walked toward her, careful, like approaching a wild animal that might disappear at any moment. "You're okay?" he asked softly. She nodded once. "The stars here look different, but I still know where I came from." "Where exactly is that?" Illyra pointed to a small cluster in the sky. "Aurelia. In Sector Delta 7, it takes light 12 years to reach here from there." James raised his eyebrows. "So, you're 12 light years away from home." She looked at him. "I'm exactly where I'm meant to be." He rubbed his face. "This is so weird." She tilted her head again, studying him like he was the alien. "Is it weird to be chosen?" James laughed, but it sounded tired. "No one's ever chosen me." "Not for anything." Illyra looked down. Her fingers brushed along her glowing silver bracelet. "You were chosen because you are unnoticed, unwatched. You are safe." "Safe," James repeated. "Safe for what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "May I stay here?" James blinked. "You were sent here. You don't need my permission, but I want your choice. Your voice matters here." James looked into her golden eyes and felt something strange, a pull. Not just attraction, something deeper. Trust, connection. He wasn't ready for it, but he couldn't ignore it. "You can stay," he said, quietly, "at least until I figure out what's going on." She smiled. It was soft, gentle, like the first warm sun after a long winter. The next day, things got even stranger. James tried to act normal. He made breakfast, toast, and eggs. He even made some for Illyra, though he didn't know if she ate food. She did, carefully, slowly, like each bite was a new experience. "This is good," she said, eyes wide. "Warm, crunchy. It makes my body feel alive." James grinned. "It's just toast. To me, it is more than that." After breakfast, he gave her one of his hoodies and a pair of sweatpants. They were too big, but they helped her blend in a little. "You can't just walk around in glowing armor," he joked. She looked at herself in the mirror and giggled. "I look like a small human." "Not really," he said, "but close enough." They took a walk later that afternoon. People stared. Of course they did. Illyra was stunning. Even in oversized clothes, she walked with grace. Her silver hair glowed softly under the sunlight. James kept his head down, but he noticed the glances. Some were curious, some jealous. "What do they think of me?" Illyra asked quietly. "They think you're different," James replied. She looked around. "Am I not allowed to be different here?" James paused. "Earth isn't always kind to different." She was quiet for a while. Then she said, "In my world, different is sacred. Unique souls are protected." James thought about that. On Earth, unique souls were often mocked, bullied, left alone. Maybe Illyra came from a better world. Later, they stopped by a small grocery store. Illyra wandered off while James grabbed a few things. But when he turned the corner, he saw a store clerk confronting her. "Miss, are you okay? Do you need help? Do you even speak English?" Illyra blinked. "Yes, I am fine. I am with." James quickly stepped forward. "She's with me? Sorry. She's from out of town." The clerk looked at her strange eyes and glowing hair, then back at James with suspicion. "You sure she's all right?" James forced a smile. "Totally. They walked out together. Elira whispered, "I scared him." "No," James replied. "He just doesn't understand you." She nodded. Most fear what they do not understand. James looked at her. "Where did you learn all these wise quotes?" "From my creators," she said. "They prepared me for Earth, taught me languages, history, culture." James frowned. "Wait. So you were trained to be with a human?" "Yes," Elira said. "But I chose you." His steps slowed. "You chose me. They gave me a list. I read your life, your records, your silence. I chose you." James stopped completely. Something heavy hit his chest. No one had ever chosen him. Not his parents, not a friend, not a girlfriend, not a single soul. And now, a girl from the stars had. "Why?" he asked. Elira smiled again, this time a little. "Sad, because I saw pain in your heart, and I wanted to know what made it strong." That night, James couldn't stop thinking about what Elira had said. "I chose you." Those words echoed inside his mind like a soft song that refused to leave. Why would an alien girl, someone so perfect, so rare, choose someone like him? He stared at the ceiling while Elira rested quietly in the corner of his apartment. She didn't ask for a bed. She just curled up on a soft blanket and looked peaceful, like she belonged there. But James knew something was off. There were too many questions and no answers yet. The next morning, James noticed something strange. He had woken up early. Sunlight poured through the window. He stepped into the living room to make coffee. Elira was already awake, standing silently in front of the mirror. But it wasn't her face that caught his attention. It was the markings. Her arms, neck, and even her shoulders glowed with white, thin symbols like ancient writing or alien tattoos. They hadn't been visible before. But now, they were softly pulsing with light. "Elira," James said carefully. She turned, quickly pulling down the hoodie sleeve to cover her skin. But he had already seen it. "What are those?" Elira didn't speak. Instead, she looked down, almost ashamed. "I wasn't supposed to show them," she whispered. James stepped closer. "Are they dangerous?" "No," she said softly. "They are memories. Memories." She nodded. "My body holds the history of my kind. These symbols tell the truth of who I am and what I was made for." James swallowed. "Then why?" "Hide them. Because if you saw them, you might not want me to stay." Later that day, James searched the symbols online. He took a picture while she wasn't watching, just one small marking on her wristband, uploaded it to several decoding databases, both human and alien language. Projects he didn't expect a reply so fast. One response came back from an underground exolinguistics server. The message was short. "Biomarkings from Varelian prototype class. Property of observation program Zeta." James stared at the words. Prototype. Observation program. Elira had said she was sent to learn from him. But now he understood something deeper. She wasn't just a gift. She was a project. That evening, James confronted her. "Elira," he said, sitting across from her on the couch, "I need the truth." She looked nervous. "I have given you the truth." "No, not all of it. I know you were part of some observation program. I saw the markings. I saw the server response." Her golden eyes darkened. "You looked into me. I had to. I don't even know what you really are." Elira stood up, backing away like he had struck her. "I am not a weapon. I am not a machine. I am me." "Then tell me what that means." Her voice broke as she said, "I was made to study humans, but I was not meant to feel." James blinked. "Feel." "I was built to observe, not love, not cry, not choose." He stepped closer. But you did choose. Yes, she whispered. And that's the part they didn't expect. Suddenly, there was a faint hum, a vibration in the air. James's lights flickered. His computer blinked on by itself. His phone buzzed, even though it was off. Alira gasped. They found me. James rushed to the window. A black vehicle had parked outside. Men in dark uniforms stepped out. Tall, cold, no markings, no badges. Who are they? James asked. Alira's voice shook. They are not from your government. They are from mine. James turned to her. They're here to take you. Yes. They think I have malfunctioned, that I am bonding with a subject, that I must be recovered. James felt something burn inside his chest. He wasn't angry. He was afraid. Not for himself, but for her. We need to go, he said quickly. Grab your things. I have nothing to take. He grabbed his backpack and car keys. Then let's go. Alira hesitated. I don't want to hurt you, she whispered. You're not, James said. You're saving me, and I'm going to save you too. They slipped out the back stairwell, avoiding the main lobby. James's heart raced. Every footstep echoed like thunder. Alira moved silently, her eyes scanning every shadow. As they reached the car, James asked, Do you know where we can go? Alira nodded. There is a place in the forest. I was given coordinates for emergency refuge. They sped off tires, screeching as two black-suited figures stepped into the hallway behind them just seconds too late. Inside the car, Alira looked at James. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because I don't care if you're a project or a princess, James said. You looked at me like I mattered. No one's ever done that before. Alira's eyes glistened. For the first time, she looked afraid, but also human, and James knew one thing for sure. This was no longer about curiosity. It was about trust and survival together. The forest road was narrow and dark. Trees stood tall like silent guards, their long branches reaching over James's car as he drove faster than ever before. The headlights lit up the dirt path, but beyond that, there was only shadow. Alira sat beside him, quiet, her glowing eyes. Scanning the road, her fingers were clenched tightly in her lap. James looked at her. Are they following? She closed her eyes for a moment. Not yet. But they will. Where are we even going? There's a hidden base. My creators. Call it Outpost Null. It was meant to protect me if the mission failed. It's buried beneath the hills. And how far is it? 37 human miles, she said calmly. If we don't stop. James sighed. Great. No pressure. After an hour of tense silence, they reached a clearing. The car's battery flickered again. Alira's skin glowed brighter. We're close, she said. James parked the car behind some thick trees. We walk from here. She nodded. There's a stone with strange markings. Underneath it is the entrance. They moved quickly through the tall grass. James could hear his heartbeat louder than his footsteps. Alira moved like she had done this before, confident, focused. Finally, they reached a flat stone, half buried under leaves. She bent down, pressed her hand against it, and whispered something in her native language. The ground vibrated. A round hatch opened silently, revealing a dark tunnel that led deep underground. In here, she said. James followed her down. The tunnel was cool and quiet. Lights flickered on as they walked, soft blue, like the glow of Alira's skin. Are we safe here? Oh, James asked. For now, she replied. This place was made to be invisible. No signals go in. No signals go out. James looked around. The place was small but high-tech. Glass walls, control panels, and a glowing pod in the center. It felt like a secret lab. What is all this? This is where I was created, Alira said. This is where I became Me. James stared at her. So why did they send people to take you back? She paused. Because I broke the rule. What rule? I was not meant to feel. Not meant to care for the subject. But I do. James stepped closer. You mean me? She nodded slowly. Yes, and now they will erase me, reprogram me, or destroy me. James felt something heavy drop in his chest. No, he said. We're not letting that happen. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A red warning symbol blinked on the wall. James spun around. What's that? Elira's voice shook. They found the door. From a screen nearby, they saw a live feed two black-suited figures standing near the forest hatch. Their faces were covered. They weren't human. Their eyes glowed like machines. James grabbed a metal rod from the wall. We can fight, right? Ilira looked at him. You would fight for me? He nodded. You're not just some alien project to me. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. She blinked, eyes softening. Then I must do something. She walked over to the glowing pod and pressed a hidden panel. Inside was a small, crystal-like object. This is my core, she said. If they capture me, they can use it to make more like me. To spy, to control. James stared. Then destroy it. Ilira hesitated. If I destroy it, I may also die. No, James said quickly. There must be another way. She looked at him, her voice trembling. There isn't. Boom. A loud thud echoed above. They were trying to break the hatch. Ilira turned to James. Take this, she handed him the glowing crystal. If I fall, you must protect it. No, James said. If you fall, I fall with you. She looked at him like no one ever had. It's wonder. With trust. I was built to observe humans, she whispered, but I never knew they were capable of this. The hatch finally gave in. Heavy boots slammed down the tunnel stairs. James and Ilira stood side by side. Facing the darkness, the first intruder stepped into the light. Tall, robotic, face covered in armor. He raised a strange weapon. James stepped in front of Ilira, holding the metal rod like a sword. Touch her, he said, and I'll break your glowing face. The alien tilted its head. Ilira's skin lit up like fire. Then she raised her hand and the lights exploded. Sparks flew. The walls shook. And in the chaos, Ilira pulled James into a hidden tunnel. They ran as sirens screamed behind them. James clutched the glowing crystal in his pocket, feeling it pulse with life. He didn't know where this path would lead, but he knew one thing for sure. This girl from the stars had changed everything, and he wasn't going to lose her now. The emergency tunnel twisted like a snake beneath the earth. James and Ilira ran through the dim path, their footsteps echoing against metal walls. Behind them, the sound of alarms grew fainter, but the fear in James's chest did not fade. He kept glancing at Ilira. Her face was calm, but her glowing eyes were different, now darker. Deeper, like she was holding something inside. They finally stopped in a hidden chamber lit by soft blue lights. It looked untouched by time. There were control panels, floating screens, and a single long bench. James sat down, breathing heavily. Ilira did not sit. She stood in front of a screen and placed her hand on it. The wall lit up with symbols, images, and files. James asked, "What are you doing?" Her voice was quiet. "I need to show you the truth. All of it." He watched as a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It was her, but not as she looked now. In the image, she floated inside a large glowing pod, connected by tubes and wires. Her eyes were closed. She was being grown. "Is that you?" James whispered. Ilira nodded slowly. I wasn't born, James. I was designed, created in a lab, like a machine. My body was made perfect. Not for me, but for someone else. For a human subject. James stared at her, shocked. She continued. My creators believed that if a human bonded with something beautiful, something that looked like love, they could study that human's choices, reactions, desires. You were chosen because you were alone, a clean mind, no attachments, easy to observe. James felt his stomach twist. So, I was just part of an experiment. At first, yes, Illyra said, her voice shaking. But something went wrong. James looked up. What went wrong? She took a deep breath. I started to feel I wasn't supposed to have emotions, Illyra said, stepping closer. They removed those parts from my brain, or at least they thought they did. But when I saw your face, when you looked at me like I was real, something inside me woke up. James blinked, trying to understand. You mean you became alive? Yes. Not just in body, but in spirit. Tears shimmered at the edges of her golden eyes. She whispered, You were supposed to be my subject, but I fell in love with you instead. James froze. His mind swirled. This wasn't some romantic fantasy. It was science. Alien science, but still. Her words reached deep into him. He thought back to the night she arrived. Her soft voice, her fear of being seen. Her joy over toast. Her wonder at Earth's sky. None of that had felt fake. All of it felt human. Why didn't you tell me this before? He asked. Because I was afraid, she said. Afraid that if you knew the truth, you would hate me. Or worse, leave me. James looked at her. Lily looked. She was still glowing, still alien, still strange, but she was also real and vulnerable, just like him. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Illyra looked up, shocked. You're not angry? I am, he said honestly, but not at you. I'm angry at whoever made you believe you didn't deserve to feel. Silence settled between them. Then James stood and pulled the glowing crystal from his pocket. This? Your core, right? Yes, Illyra nodded. If they get this, they can use my design to build more. Soulless ones, without hearts, without choices. James gripped the crystal tighter. Then we make sure they never do. Illyra stepped closer. Her hand gently touched his. You've changed me, James, she whispered. You gave me more than life. You gave me purpose. James smiled weakly. You gave me something too. What a reason to fight. Suddenly, the lights blinked. A voice echoed through the chamber. Robotic, cold, subject 73E, identified. Human companion confirmed. Capture protocol initiated. Illyra gasped. James turned toward the wall. They found us. No, Illyra said. They were always watching. This place. It was never truly safe. James growled under his breath. Then we fight again. Illyra looked at him. This time, we don't run. She touched the control panel again, and the floor beneath the pod split open. A new doorway appeared. What's down there? James asked. A ship, she said. A small one. I hid it in case this day came. James stared. Wait, you have? A spaceship? Illyra gave a sad smile. It's not very fast, but it can take us away from Earth, or at least give us a chance. James didn't hesitate. He grabbed her hand. Then let's go. As they ran down the steps to the ship's chamber, alarms screamed louder. Red lights flashed. The metal walls trembled. But James didn't care. He had made his choice. He wasn't just protecting an alien anymore. He was protecting the only person who had ever seen him, and that was worth everything. The ship was small, too small to be comfortable, but it was the only way out. James and Illyra stood in front of the control panel, their fingers hovering over the glowing keys. The ship's interior was sleek, metallic, and silent. Even the air felt different, more artificial, as if it wasn't meant to carry humans. Illyra's golden eyes studied the console, her fingers moving like she'd done this 100 times. "Before you know how to fly this thing?" James asked, nervous but trying to hide it. She didn't look at him. "I do, but it won't be easy. Earth's atmosphere is hard to escape. I can only give us a small window of time." James took a deep breath. "Then, let's make it count." He turned toward the small window at the front of the ship. The planet's blue skies stretched out before them. But there was something far scarier than Earth's beauty: the men who were still chasing them. The door hissed shut behind them, sealing them inside. "Engage," Illyra said quietly, as her fingers pressed a sequence of buttons on the panel. The ship hummed to life. James sat back in the seat, heart racing. It felt like everything was going too fast, faster than he was ready for. His entire life had been about routine, about safety. And now, everything was in the hands of an alien girl who wasn't even supposed to exist. A girl who was meant to observe him, not fall in love with him, and yet here they were on the run. James gripped the armrests, watching as Illyra adjusted controls. Her face was focused, calm, but her fingers trembled ever so slightly. "Illyra," he asked softly. "Yes? Are you scared?" Her lips parted as if to say something, but she closed them again. After a long pause, she finally spoke. "Fear is a strange thing for me. I wasn't built to experience it, but right now, I do." She looked at him, her eyes soft, almost vulnerable. "I'm scared of losing you, James." James felt his chest tightened. He reached out and took her hand. "You're not going to lose me." The ship slowly began to rise, lifting off the ground. James felt the weight shift beneath him as the ground below became a blur. He couldn't help but look back at Earth, disappearing beneath the ship's belly. For a moment, he thought about everything they were leaving behind. He wasn't just leaving a planet. He was leaving a life. He knew a life of isolation, of being overlooked. And in its place, he was about to step into the unknown. With Illyra, the ship ascended, cutting through the clouds, and for a brief moment, everything was calm. But then the ship shook. The alarms blared. A loud mechanical voice echoed through the cockpit. "Warning, multiple unidentified ships detected. Interception in progress." Illyra's face darkened. She quickly typed something into the control panel. "They found us," she said, her voice low and calm. "They'll try to stop us before we break through Earth's atmosphere." James's heart skipped a beat. "Can't you outrun them?" She shook her head. "Not yet. The ship's engines are not built for speed. We'll need a few more minutes before we can go into full throttle." A shadow passed over them. James's breath caught in his throat. He looked out the window and saw 3 black ships, sleek and fast, descending from the sky like vultures. They were getting closer, faster than he could process. "Illyra," James shouted, "we don't have much time." "I know," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "I'm doing everything I can." The sound of the engines increased. The ships behind them fired their first warning shot, a laser blast that barely missed the tail of the ship. James's grip tightened around the seat. "We have to fight back," he said. Illyra's eyes flickered, but she didn't hesitate. "I can't risk damaging this ship. They get too close. We won't make it." James watched the black ships on his monitor. They were closing in. "Then we'll have to make them think we're easy targets," James said with a smirk. Illyra raised an eyebrow. "What are you planning?" He turned and ran to the back of the ship. There were weapons stored in a compartment along the wall. Illyra's voice called out, "James, don't." But it was too late. He grabbed 2 small energy blasters. For him, 1 for her. "You can't seriously think this is going to work," Illyra said, eyes wide with disbelief. "I have a plan," James said confidently, loading the blasters. "If we're going to survive, we have to fight them off for just a little while longer." James took a deep breath and walked back to the cockpit. Illyra looked at him, unsure. "Are you really ready for this?" He handed her one of the blasters. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be," he said. The ships were closing in. Illyra's fingers danced across the control panel, the ship swerving and dipping as she tried to outmaneuver their pursuers. "Hold on," she shouted. The ship lurched as another blast hit their tail. "Now!" James yelled. He fired the energy blaster toward the largest ship, hitting the side of its hull. Sparks flew from the impact, and the ship wavered for a moment. Throwing its course off, Illyra's eyes flickered with determination. "Nice shot." James didn't smile. "We're not out yet." The fight continued for several more minutes, the ship veering and dodging as blasts rocked them. But then, just as they were about to be caught, Illyra hit the throttle. The ship shot forward like a bolt of lightning. James gripped the seat again, holding his breath as they tore through the atmosphere, breaking free from Earth's pull. The black ships fell behind. James exhaled deeply. "We did it." Illyra turned to him, exhaustion on her face. "We're not safe yet, James. They'll keep coming after us." He nodded. "But for now, we're free." And as Earth disappeared behind them, James felt a sense of peace. No matter what came next, he wasn't alone anymore. And Illyra had chosen him. They were in this together. The ship soared through space like a comet, faster and faster, leaving Earth behind. The blue planet shrank into a distant memory, and the stars above them became their only companions. Illyra sat in the cockpit, her eyes locked on the endless galaxy ahead. James sat beside her, still feeling the rush of adrenaline in his veins. They had made it out. They had escaped, but the reality of their freedom was slowly sinking in. "Where do we go now?" James asked quietly, breaking the silence. Illyra didn't answer right away. She kept her gaze fixed on the stars, as if searching for something. "Beyond them, I don't know," she admitted. "This ship was never meant for long-term travel. It was only supposed to get us to the nearest safe zone." James looked at her, noticing the weariness in her eyes. "What's our plan once we reach the safe zone?" She hesitated. "I'm not sure. The truth is, I wasn't supposed to have this freedom. I was never meant to choose. I was made to obey." James shook his head. "You're not an experiment. You're more than that, Illyra. You made your own choice." She turned to him, her golden eyes softening. "And you made yours. You chose me." For a moment, they both fell silent, the hum of the ship filling the space between them. James leaned back in his seat. "I guess I don't have anything to go back to. I'm not going to pretend like this is easy. But if I'm being honest, I don't know where else I'd go." Illyra smiled faintly. "Then we'll go forward together." Hours passed, and they drifted deeper into the unknown parts of space. Lyra spent most of her time at the ship's controls, adjusting their course to avoid detection. James, meanwhile, explored the small ship, growing more and more curious about the technology Illyra had used to escape her creators. One day, as James walked through the narrow corridor, he found Illyra standing before a small console, staring at a flashing light. The screen displayed something that made his heart skip a beat. "It's a message," Illyra said softly, not turning around. James moved closer, peering at the screen. It was a transmission sent from somewhere far away. The message was clear, but its meaning was far more complicated than anything he had expected. "Who is it from?" James asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Illyra's fingers hovered over the screen. "It's from my creators. They've been trying to track me down." James felt his pulse quicken. What does it say? Alira took a deep breath before reading aloud. Alira, we know you've deviated from your original purpose. We understand you've chosen your path, but we cannot allow this. You were made to observe, not to be observed. You were meant to return, to complete your mission. If you do not comply, we will erase you. We will reprogram you. The choice is yours. Return now and fulfill your duty, or face the consequences. James's heart dropped. They're still hunting you. Alira's expression remained calm, but her eyes revealed the storm within. They always were. I was never meant to feel this much. But you do feel, James said, stepping closer. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you alive. She turned to him, her gaze intense. But they'll come for me. I can't keep running forever. James placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we fight. We don't run anymore. Alira looked at him, a mix of fear and gratitude in her eyes. You still don't understand, James. I'm not like you. I can't just ... fight. You are like me, James said firmly. You felt more than anyone I know, and you're not going to let them control you. There was a long pause before Alira finally spoke. There's something else I haven't told you. My creators don't just want to erase me. They want to erase everything we shared. They want to destroy this connection. James's chest tightened. They can't do that. They can, Alira whispered, and they will. The ship shook slightly, and an alert flashed on the console. James's eyes widened. They're getting closer. Alira's hand moved quickly over the controls. We need to go faster. We can't outrun them forever. But where are we going? James asked. What's our final destination? She paused, her finger hovering over a button. I have coordinates. A place where we can hide. Not far. But it's not safe either. James didn't hesitate. Then we go there. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together. She nodded and punched in the coordinates. The ship's engines roared to life, pushing them faster through space, deeper into the unknown. Alira worked silently, her focus never wavering. James sat beside her, watching the stars blur as they sped away from everything they had known. As the minutes passed, James's mind wandered back to the message. The choice is yours. It was a choice Alira had already made, even before she met him. She had chosen him. She had chosen her own path. And in doing so, she had given him the strength to choose. 2. They weren't just escaping the past anymore. They were creating a future. And whatever came next, whether it was another battle or a new beginning, James knew one thing for sure. He would face it with Alira. Together.